I want to raise today critical issues that this story raises. Issues of policing in this country, indeed in the national capital, safety for women at night, the nature of hit and run accidents that seem to take place on a regular basis in this country, civic apathy, where citizens don't stand up to help someone who is in distress. These are questions we will raise. Kalpana Vishwanath is an activist and looks at urban safety issues. She joins us. Vikram Singh is former DG of Uttar Pradesh and someone who is, as a police officer, seen many a crime. Meghna Pant is an author and activist based in Mumbai. But in my studio at the moment are four of our fellow anchor colleagues, each of whom travels home late in the night in the national capital and therefore will have their own stories to tell. Soumya Saxena, Nabila Jamal, Aishwarya Paliwal, Anisha Mathur. I want to start with all of you, and I'm also going to play out stories because they spent last night on the streets of Delhi and tried to find out for themselves how safe or unsafe it is. Anisha, why don't you start off? As a young woman, professional, you go home at night, presumably after 9 p.m. Do you go home feeling a sense of foreboding, or do you feel completely safe on the streets of Delhi?
Well, Rajdeep, to answer your question, it depends on what time I'm going home and how I'm going home. If I'm going home early enough to hit traffic and go home, then I'm safe. If it's post 10 p.m., as a Delhiite, as someone who's grown up in the city, who's grown up for the last 10 years covering the city, I know which are the areas I shouldn't be going to alone, what are the kind of precautions I need to take. And more importantly, I also have a sense of which are the safe zones, which are the places where I might presumably get help if I really needed to. But then we as journalists live a very different life from a different person who's out on the road late at night in Delhi.
Okay, Soumya Saxena, you were very angrily telling me before the show about how you felt unsafe every time you go home.
So if you're driving alone, say at 11 or something, there are chances that, someone sees you driving alone. And then there would be like walking behind you, try to stop your car. And once even 2 men, you started following me on a motorbike. Now imagine at that moment, my car breaks down, right? What am I supposed to do? Who do I call? How do I take help? I am so dependent on the males of my house at that time to give them a call and tell them, please aa jaiye, help kar dijiye. Where do I go? Where's the police? I mean, I can't tell you that incident. It was really jarring.
You had two people on a motorcycle following you.
Till the time I actually reached my home and told the security guard, ki, dekho bhaiya, ye log meko follow kar rahe hain, do something. And when he stepped,
there were no cops on the road?
Nothing. I was trying to see if I can get help from somewhere. I even called my home, listen, I'm coming, just be ready in case. Because they kept following me, they kept making, things like these gestures, and it was very bad.
Nabila, you were out on the streets yesterday. Yeah. What did you feel? What did you see? What did you feel? You're a Bengaluru girl coming to Delhi. Do you feel far more unsafe here than you were ever in Bengaluru, when you go home at night?
Yeah, I mean, most definitely Bangalore is a much safe city, and even I was just sharing with someone that even on a random Tuesday there is a drink and drive check. But you are talking about a national capital, and we did a recce of the city last night. Not a single drink and drive checkpoint or even police bandobast in the most posh localities, which ideally you would believe will have high security.
What time was this?
Like your Vasant Kunj, the Mehroli area where the murder took place of Shraddha, there was hardly any police presence. There was a bandobast barricading, but no police officers were sitting inside the store.
What time was this?
This was at 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
Yeah, so God forbid any incident happened, there's really nobody to go to help. And there's no female officer, women officers, police officers are not deployed anywhere. So we are talking about a city double the size of Bangalore, but police presence smaller than Bangalore.
Aishwarya, you were also on the road. What did you see?
You will not believe it, Rajdeep. I was near the Dhaulakuan flyover, which is a defense area. Delhi Cant is very close by. We were standing on the road, which was opposite a police booth. There was also a PCR van, barely 20 meters away. The car kept on standing there for good 45 minutes. In fact, we also tried to move it backward and forward. We kept on doing that because we just thought, maybe something, if the cops inside the booth, in case they see that there is some activity going on, they might just cross the road and come and check. They did not. When we confronted them after good 45 minutes, they said, had there been an accident, we would have jumped and, we would have been on the spot. I asked them, how do you know what was happening in the vehicle? How do you define an accident? And God forbid, if something was actually happening in the vehicle, you would have been sitting inside your booth. And this is exactly what got captured on our camera. They kept on sitting inside. The only movement I could see, the two policemen stepping out of the booth, going and speaking with the person who was sitting in the PCR van, but they did not cross the road, did not check on what was happening in the vehicle.
Let's play some of those sequences of some of our young women colleagues last night who spent, as you can see on the screen, late after midnight, they were out on the street just to check, to do a reality check of what it is like on the streets of Delhi. Take a look at this story.
क्या कुछ नहीं, इंतजार कर रही हूँ कैब का इंतजार कर रही हूँ, कैब का इंतजार कर रही हूँ।
It's okay if you I will drop you somewhere.
नहीं, कैब आ जाएगी मेरी, ऑफिस की तरफ से आने वाली, मैं उसी का वेट कर रही थी बस।
If you want comfortable I can.
No, I am sorry, I am okay. Thank you. हेलो क्या
किथे जा रहे हो?
खड़ी हूँ।
जा रहे हो क्या?
नहीं
हाँ?
रात के 1 बज रहे हैं, डिफेंस कॉलोनी में मौजूद हूँ। निर्भया कांड से हमने क्या सीखा? 31 तारीख की जो घटना हुई, एक लड़की को 4 किलोमीटर घसीटते हुए 5 दरिंदे चले जाते हैं, उन सब के बाद कितना बदला है दिल्ली, वो हम देखने के लिए पहुंचे। लेकिन आपको जरा दिखाएं, देखिए यहाँ से अभी जब हम ये रिपोर्ट आप तक पहुंचा रहे हैं तो एक पीसीआर वैन यहाँ पर गुजरती नजर आ रही है और ये फ्रीक्वेंसी हम देख रहे हैं क्योंकि अभी ताजा ये मामला है, इसलिए पीसीआर वैन यहाँ पर नजर भी आ रही है। लेकिन सवाल उठ रहे थे उस दिन को लेकर कि अगर 12 किलोमीटर एक लड़की घसीटी जाती है तो पीसीआर वैन कहाँ थी, पुलिस के अधिकारी, पुलिस के जवान कहाँ?
As I said, we'll play many of those ground reports for you. We've heard 4 voices from women here in Delhi. I want to come for a moment to Meghna, because you're based in Mumbai. Do you feel much safer at night if you were to travel in Mumbai? Mumbai is seen generally as a safer city for women.
Rajdeep, absolutely. In fact, on New Year's Eve, I drove back alone at 11:30 in the night, and I was completely safe. And I've been driving in Mumbai alone late at night, sometimes even 3 a.m., 4 a.m. from work or from a party. And I've never faced a single incident that has scared me or, sort of told me that I should not venture out at night. But this is Mumbai, and I think I consider myself extremely lucky. And I'll tell you, I speak for every woman in India when I say this, that we have spent every second of our life trying not to get raped, trying not to get molested, trying not to get killed by men all around us. So it's literally a matter of luck that what happens to Ankita Singh or what happened to Shraddha Wolf or what happens to Jyoti Singh has not happened to each and every woman in India. So I think the only thing that distinguishes us is not even, it's not education, it's not your, your societal status, your economic status, none of that distinguishes you. The only reason why we are alive and these women are dead is a matter and stroke of luck. And that's all I can say, because we have lived every single moment and asked any woman in India in fear all the time.
You know, Kalpana Vishwanath, you look at urban safety. Do you believe that this is a peculiar problem to North India? Do you believe that this is where women will feel more unsafe? Let's also be clear, it could well have been a man on that pillion who would have been hit and dragged 12 kilometers. So there is a question of safety in general. Do you believe, though, that women in particular are even more vulnerable, more unsafe in North India possibly?
Rajdeep, I think certainly we are seeing that cities like Mumbai or even Kolkata and Bangalore, as your reporter has talked about, seem to be safer, which is not to say, as Meghna also says, that women across the country feel insecure when they are out. Fear is a constant companion for women if we're out after dark. I think that's something that I would say not just in India, but in many parts of the world. So I think this is an issue. There is definitely a gender dimension to it, that if you step out after dark, the city is much more hostile towards you than it is towards men. But having said that, your question, this particular case, it could have been a man, I agree. I think there are 3 things which are extremely disturbing about this case. One is the complete callousness and insensitivity of those men in the car. I don't care how drunk they were. You cannot have so little value for a human life that it means nothing to you. You can just leave a body lying there and just drive off. The second thing is, it was New Year's Eve night. I cannot believe there was not more policing. It was not an ordinary night. You expect there to be drunken driving on the 31st night, on first morning. You are expecting that there's going to be brawls, there's going to be problems on the street. So I would have expected there to be much more policing, especially on that night. It wasn't just any night. So I think these 2 things are deeply disturbing. You did bring up your reporters being out. I mean, it's shocking, but it is not surprising. You know, as a woman, if you stand out at night, and certainly in Delhi, at night, cars and autos and 2-wheelers will stop because they presume that you may be available. So I think there is a problem in the male attitude, in the way that women are viewed. And I think this is something we need to take very seriously, along with urban safety. The problem is people. I mean, why is a woman just seen as a prey by men in this country? I think this is something that is increasingly disturbing.
When you speak of people, and we'll come to that in a moment, just the people in the end, not just those driving the car, but eyewitnesses, even the friend who was on the pillion, simply going away, leaving Anjali virtually dead and dragged to her death. But Vikram Singh, you're hearing these voices. I mean, we could have played this 10 years ago and these would have been the same voices. Lots has changed in this country. What hasn't at times is concepts of urban safety for women. And policing and police patrolling, far from being enhanced, in some dark corners of our cities seems actually to have got reduced. Would you agree with that? I had Kiran Bedi on my show, who believes that this decentralized police patrolling model doesn't work.
Mr. Sardesai, I have a little more dimension to add. It has been most disconcerting to hear the experiences of the likes of Miss Kalpana, Miss Meghna, and your wonderful reporters. If these ladies feel insecure every minute, it's a shame on you, it's shame on me, it's a shame on all the entire police force in the country. I wish we could have put up a better show. But yes, I know those ladies who were around 12, 13 years of age when Nirbhaya happened, there was a show and I asked them, how many feel more secure after it? Everybody said we were as insecure today as we were when the Nirbhaya case happened. Nothing has changed. To the contrary, Nirbhaya Fund in Maharashtra is used for the security of MLAs. It has not been used, misused, or underutilized, or not utilized at all. Then the number of women police officers that are supposed to be recruited as prosecutors, that is a matter of detail. In respect of what Madam Bedi said, I agree with that. But yes, the mindset, the police station is not a boys' club. What happens to any woman should be a concern for each and every police officer, from a constable right up to the DGP and the police commissioner. And what happened in Delhi on the eve of the New Year's is also how not to do a thing. They behaved, the police officer on duty behaved like a defense advocate, diluting the charges, not responding to 22 calls from Deepak Dahiya, who was an eyewitness, patrol cars not reaching, the body being dragged right across the area of 4th police station and the jurisdiction of 25 patrol cars. Do you for 1 minute understand that the claim was that Delhi would be made and fortified like a cantonment? Chhavni mein tabdeel kar denge. Is this the way you convert a Chhavni? Is this what independent India is for, that the fate of the deceased Anjali? And of course, the less said, the better about the friend. We will talk about it later. But the fact of the matter is the manner in which the police conducted themselves. I would have expected that those who did not respond to the calls, those who diluted charges, should have been placed into suspension right away. And those who were responsible for the correct registration, proper medical examination of those in the car, should also be placed into suspension. But look at the response. They say, we will take action once the inquiry is over. There's something known as prima facie evidence, and there's abundant evidence, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai, that they should be placed into suspension, if not dismissed from service.
Those are strong words. Let's play out another sequence to get a sense of just what, as I said, women can go through in the night. Take a look at another of our women colleagues last night as she traveled the streets of Delhi post-midnight.
Here in the heart of Delhi, in Connaught Place, there seems to be a reasonable amount of police deployment. At midnight, cars are being checked, especially those which have just a single male or a couple of male drivers. The police is looking into all the cars that are going past this particular barricading spot. We are in Delhi University's North Campus right now, and I'm walking down the Vishwavidyalaya Marg, which is the arterial road in the Delhi University area. And as you can see around us, no street light at this moment is working on this road, even though this is right next to the Delhi Ridge, and this is the road that goes towards the colleges of Delhi University's North Campus. At the same time, we have not seen even a single patrol vehicle or a police personnel or any sort of barricading anywhere from civil lines till the Delhi University's North Campus area, even though this area is normally said to be a security zone since there are a large number of students living in the area. But for the last several minutes, we have not seen any police patrols or any other security arrangements in Delhi University's North Campus.
Your experiences with the police, how have you found, if you've ever reached out to the police, how have you found them in the national capital? I mean, have you felt...
Any third लगती है. That's precisely what the police told me when I asked him, sir, आप चौकी के अंदर बैठे हो, बाहर तो आप बैरिकेड रख के आप अंदर बैठे हो. मैडम, हम भी इंसान हैं, हमें भी ठंड लगती है. तो हम हीटर फिक्स कर रहे थे.
Which is not untrue.
Not at all. And then you had the other reporter spotted a couple of police officers sleeping fast asleep in the night. I mean, what can you say? I seriously believe that this isn't systematic. It's a problem within the system. They are understaffed and overworked. That's got to be fixed. And when you talk about the Indian mentality, it's not new. It seeped in within the Indian mindset that if you're a girl who's wearing makeup, dressed well, out in the night, then you're out there with a mission and purpose, willing to sell yourself.
No, I'm just wondering whether any of the police officers told you that आप यहाँ क्या कर रही हैं रात को, देर रात को,
Actually, not last night, but this is something we've heard not last night, but over the years. We're journalists. We're out at all sorts of places, all sorts of times. And while आप यहाँ क्यों हो may not have been a question that was asked last night because, we're doing a reality check. They're also very well aware of why we're asking them questions. But there has been an incident where I actually had to go and ask the police for help at one point, and the straight up answer was, ma'am, आपको FIR काहे को करानी है? आप भीड़ में क्यों गए थे? And this is when I'm a reporter on duty carrying a mic ID saying, I'm a reporter, I've been harassed, do something. The problem is that the police simply says, ma'am, there is so much happening, we're so overburdened. CCTV footage hai, nahi hai, pata nahi hai. No, who is monitoring? The question is, who is monitoring?
I don't think it's a priority for them. If you are out at a certain time, then the responsibility lies with you, period. There is where the buck stops. In case something happens, the onus is on you. They have a lot of reasons they will give us. Also, in my case, he said, had there been an accident, we would have, crossed the road.
Also, they are very judgmental. You go to them about something, the first thing they'll ask is, Madam, aap janti hai kya? Aapka boyfriend hai kya? Kuch chakkar hai kya? That's what we hear from them most of the time. And many of the women,
it's so easy to tarnish the woman. Unfortunately, that's what it comes down to.
It's not just, of course, done by police officers. Politicians also do it. When some of their remarks that they make after such incidents take place in this country. But, there is another aspect that is extremely troubling. The manner in which there were very few people out there willing to help Anjali. She was being dragged for 12 kilometers and everyone seemed to stand by. There were eyewitnesses. Her friend runs away for reasons that are frankly completely inexplicable in a way, or she was just simply too frightened. Meghna, you know, you get a sense that citizens don't want to get involved, particularly in hit and run accidents. They want to just stay away from it all. Each person is left to his or her own devices to in a way, protect herself.
You know, Arashki, the problem is a narrative that we've been led to believe is that women's bodies are sites of violence. And only the most rarest of rare cases, the most brutal of brutal crimes, is what awakens our nation's conscience every once in 2-3 months. Otherwise, we are completely dead to badly raised men who have absolutely no fear of the system. And this is the fault not just of the perpetrators, the direct perpetrators, but also the fault of the judiciary, the police, the politicians, like you mentioned, who are making these kind of, loose statements, the parents who are raising their children badly. And I think even in countries, if you look at the most sexist or non-democratic countries like Saudi and North Korea, they behead men for even looking at women. They castrate them.
But the point I'm making, the point I'm making, and all of you can, would you, if you were, God forbid, on the street outside on a dark street at midnight, and someone in front of you, there's a hit and run accident and someone's lying on the road, will you try and help or not? I want to know, or will you simply not want to get involved?
As a journalist,
be honest.
Surely help, but it's not unknown that you get tangled in legal hurdles, and it's scary. For a common man to get into a case, you have to act as a witness. They'll call you 100 times, and if the man who's the perpetrator is influential, then gone is your case.
They will start asking you. We had to deal with
what were you doing during that time?
Court judgments, policy decisions saying that, you know what, if there is a good Samaritan, do not harass them. Why is there a requirement for a policy decision or a court observation to come on this, that if there is a good Samaritan, please don't harass them? Because it is the stark reality. We've had campaigns in Delhi that if you see something, say something. If you see an accident, please go help. They had to introduce a policy. Why? Because there is so much apathy.
Because we've seen in the last week two very different instances. In the case of Rishabh Pant, the cricketer who was also found himself in a very tragic road accident, near fatal accident, was helped by a bus driver. And we've seen what's happened here with Anjali dragged for 12 kilometers and no one doing a thing. Kalpana, do you believe that people simply are too fearful of the law and don't want to get involved in any of this, or is there just a general sense of callousness?
Rajdeep, I mean, I don't know if you remember, 10 years ago when the Jyoti Singh case happened, she and her boyfriend were left on the side of the road for nearly an hour. So cars passed by, let alone stop, just phone the police, call 100. Even that, there is this complete lack of interest, lack of any civic, sort of sense of duty that can I make a difference? Now that's one side of it, and I think there is a problem. I don't know if it's primarily a Delhi problem. I don't know enough about other cities, but I do know in Delhi that people tend to turn away and not help. The other side of it, since you brought up the Rishabh Pant case also, I think Rajdeep, we do need to look at the issue of our roads and the fact that India is among the highest in the world in fatalities with road accidents. We have roads. We don't have laws that are sort of put to this thing. People drive very fast. We're having road accident deaths of people on our roads every single day. And I think this is going to become a very big problem in our country. It's growing only every day. Yeah.
I'm going to speak in a moment on drunken driving, but we spoke also earlier to one of those eyewitnesses, Deepak. And we began by asking Deepak, aapko kab shak hua कि कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, आपने कब पुलिस को बुलाया? Listen into what he said.
जैसे साहब वो गाड़ी भी राउंड बाय राउंड घूम रही थी और उसके साथ साथ जैसे पहले चक्कर में तो मैं उसको ये समझ गया मैं चलो एक्सीडेंट किसी से भी हो सकता है, होगा, ये अटक गई है या एक्सीडेंट के चलते अंदर फंस गई है और एक जारी है, चलो जारी है तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं थी। उस टाइम तक तो मैं भी समझ गया कि शायद एक्सीडेंट हुआ है, लेकिन फिर वो जैसे आगे से तकरीबन 10 मिनट के बाद रिटर्न घूम के आई है मेरी दुकान के सामने 3:30 पे साहब। तो उस टाइम फिर बात कुछ अलग दिमाग में आई मैंने जिस बीच में अपने पीसीआर से मेरी बात हो चुकी थी और मैंने उसी पीसीआर को दोबारा कॉल किया, वहाँ जनाब ये तो गाड़ी दोबारा घूम के हमें अपनी दुकान के सामने आ गई है और ये कुतुबगढ़ साइड से अब कंधावला साइड जा रही है। स्पीड उसकी वही थी, तकरीबन 20 से 25 की स्पीड में चल रही है गाड़ी। तो बोला हाँ ठीक है, हम वहीं आ रहे हैं आपकी साइड। माँ ठीक है साहब। तो मैंने इतना सुनने के बाद माँ चलो जनाब आ ही रहे हैं, पीसीआर आ रही है, तो मैंने अपनी स्कूटी उठाई और उसका पीछा करने के लग गया मैं। जैसे खंजावला साइड गाड़ी जा रही है तो मैं भी खंजावला साइड चल रहा हूँ। तकरीबन अपनी दुकान से 2-2.5 किलोमीटर आगे जाके खंजावला से पहले राज सिंह मॉल है, उसके सामने से उसने फिर से गाड़ी को यू टर्न घुमा दिया दोबारा और फिर खंजावला से कुतुबगढ़ साइड गाड़ी चल पड़ी है।
This is an eyewitness in the case. You know, Vikram Singh, it seems likely that the accused in this case were drunk. It was New Year's Day. And there's a sense that in some parts of the country you can still get away with drunk driving. Look at certain countries in the West where no one will dare to drink and drive because the law will ensure that they will throw the law book at you. In India, a lot of people believe they can actually get away with drinking and driving. Is there something in the policing system that needs to change, or it needs to just change in the attitudes of people that they've got to be conscious you cannot drink and drive in India?
Mr. Sardesai, law is very unsparing. We have any number of laws. The Motor Vehicle Acts have been revised. We also have the Samaritan clause given by the Supreme Court. But the good Samaritans are even harassed even today in the hospitals by the police and all across. The road accidents are multiple times that of murder statistics in the country and a very critical situation. And majority of such cases happen because of drunk driving. There are provisions that yes, drunk driving, and in this case also, the accused said they had 2 bottles of liquor during the course of this drive. Now, 2 bottles among 5%, you can well imagine. I'm a teetotaler, but I'm given to understand if it to translate to almost 5 pegs per person, presuming that it was equitable distribution. And in this level of intoxication, to presume either they were guided by the lawyer to give the statement, or in any case, the breath analyzer tests, the alcohol testing systems are not in function. The Doppler radars to check the speeding are not in position, and the less said the better. We all only have CCTVs on the national highways, but that is too little, coming too late. What we need is a system of checks and balances, especially when there is an occasion like the New Year's Eve, then almost every such boisterous car or single male or a double male going, they should be checked. That is what the security proceedings are all about. Nakas, security checking, and other such checks and balances. Nothing seems to have been in position. But yes, Mumbai is a shade better than Delhi. Chennai and Hyderabad also would score much better than Delhi. But Delhi, with all its inputs and the focus, has come out in absolutely abysmally low scores. And the checking part, I'm very sorry to say, as Jamila probably said, that the policeman said that he's feeling cold. A policeman is supposed to be expected to be a man of steel. And if he's such a sissy that he cannot bear 10 degrees centigrade of temperature, then he should go elsewhere and seek better opportunities in any other
Because one of the changes that was supposed to take place after Nirbhaya was to ensure CCTV footage, CCTV cameras in every possible space, improve quality of street lighting, and also ensure more police personnel. Now, on all those 3 fronts, there are question marks that are continuously even now raised about the quality. But let's take a look at one more ground report of what we saw on the streets of Delhi.
It's almost 1:15 in the morning and we are on the streets of the national capital to figure out how safe is the capital for women. We are near a very prominent place which is called the Dhaula Kuan, and you will be able to see, I'll show you, a police booth and a PCR van. We will now stop here for almost 15 minutes to do a reality check whether the policemen who are sitting inside the police booth, do they step out to see what's happening in this car which is stationed right outside the police booth for almost 15 minutes. On the other side is a PCR van, barely 20 meters away from this police booth. We will now try to figure out whether the policemen will come out to at least investigate what's happening in this car, which is parked for more than 15 minutes right outside the booth on the other side of the road, or whether they let the car be and they do not come and do any kind of inspection. This is a reality check in Dhaula Kuan. It's been almost 15 minutes. It's 1:30 in the clock, and no police personnel has actually bothered to step out of the police booth and to check what's happening in this vehicle, which is standing right opposite, bang opposite the police booth and the PCR van. We've been staying here. We have been here for almost 15 minutes trying to garner the attention, trying to make sure that the police personnel come and check what exactly is happening in the vehicle. Nothing has been happening. They have only been walking from the police booth till the PCR van and back. This clearly points towards the fact that the Delhi police personnel, the security, those people who need to make sure people in the national capital are secure, are not stepping out of the comfort zones and are not checking for things.
Okay, so let me, in conclusion, ask you, you're all going home tonight, presumably? Feeling safer or not safer?
No, where will we go?
No?
Not safe.
Going home alone?
Yeah, we all go home alone. What option do we have? Do we sit at home? Do we stop going out?
Or do we just tell the men in our house to come and pick us and drop us all the time because we are
I think as women, unfortunately...
Do the people in your house worry about it till you come home? Are they worried every night?
Of course. Of course, if I'm going home, say in an Uber or in the metro, chances are my mother would have called me at least 3 times. Office se nikli, kahan pahunchi, tere ko metro station se leke aa.
You feel safe in an Uber?
Again, depends on the time. If it's 6 p.m., yeah, sure. If it's 11 p.m., I'll be on the phone either with a friend or with my mother. Acha, main yahan pahunch gayi. Acha, main yahan pahunch gayi. We live in a world where we are required to check in with somebody just to tell the Uber driver, mera koi track kar raha hai.
Yeah.
But that honestly is in every city, Rajdeep. Even in Bangalore, if I have to get on an Uber midnight, I'm a little worried. But that's why the onus falls to the police. When you know there are instances like this and areas that are sensitive and attacks like this have happened, like for example Mehroli, barely any police presence despite it being the place where the Nirbhaya incident happened and the Aftab's incident happened. Shraddha, no police bandobast.
Family gets really worried at night if I'm, coming after 11, especially. My mom keeps calling me each 10 minutes to know where, have I reached. Once I even asked her, what's the thing? Why do you keep calling me? She's like, no, I need to know your location every 10 minutes because in case your phone switches off or in case you're not reaching, at least I know what was your last point. That's her answer. And so the onus of keeping a phone charged is also on us now because see, I think those who are away, those who are not in the situation, they are rightly worried. So if something happens like this to say, any of our friends, we would also be worried.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there.
And I have one caveat.
Yes.
It's sad that unfortunately the men who want to help and are genuine on the street, I think women have lost faith. If somebody has lost faith in the light, good men as well.
Okay.
99% of the time I want to go to a police when I'm in trouble because I don't know what will the police be like.
Okay, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. I wanted to listen to multiple voices. I've listened to them, Kalpana, Meghna, Vikram Singh and my 4 colleagues in the studio. I hope we can do something about urban safety for women, urban safety in general. If you really want to be a 21st century metropolis, you've got to focus on safety above all else. And I hope that instances like this wake up those who have been in slumber for much too long. Thank you all very much for joining me and go home safely.
Thank you.